So Tolani, you have this opinion that we still don't have a hit from the Nigerian music industry in 2020. Why do you think so? Like, what's a hit to you?
The definition of a hit has evolved over time. In the 90s and the 2000s, for example, a hit was basically defined by impact. Impact and an acceptability that transcends a particular artist's original or primary fan base into the Nigerian mainstream, to a level where we had songs that have become a mainstay in Nigerian homes. Not just songs that are being played on MTV Base or songs that have heavy rotation on radio or whatever. They are songs that naturally resonate with Nigerians. Now, the lines are very blurry because you will always find songs that will tick some of those boxes, but then they are great to hits. Say, Yahuze is a hit. Atlanta is a hit. In the same vein, a song like MI's Action Film, that was a hit too. Because over time, the song found a way to make it into the hearts of people and into the Nigerian mainstream, especially considering when you have Brimo's hook on it. However, over the past 10 years, or say maybe 7 years, with the advent of the internet and streaming and conversations, and the development in the Nigerian music industry, and the way the attitudes of the listeners have been changing, the way their palettes have been evolving, the way their listening habits have been evolving, we've had a change in the dynamics of the Nigerian music industry. Because why? Nigerian music industry now is six silos. One, the internet, and two, the real life. On the internet, we have streaming and downloads. In the real life, we have radio, we have the mainstream, we have the niche markets, and we have the artist's primary fan base. Now, these days, before a song can actually be a genuine hit, it has to be a hit across all those silos. For example, let's look at Soccer. Soccer was huge on radio. Streaming numbers are healthy. Whiskey FC loves it. Niche markets love it. Christians were singing Soccer. My mother sings Soccer. That's a hit. Yay, the same thing. Risky, maybe not. In some way, because the song didn't really transcend, but then it probably takes some of the 5 silos in the Nigerian music industry.
So for 2020, we've had Duduke, we have Nobody, we have a couple of records like that. Why do you think those ones are not hits yet? Like a Duduke now that's so popular.
For example, a song like Duduke is close to a hit. A song like Gang was close to being a hit. A song like Nobody was also close to being a hit.
So why were they close and not hits?
They were close because something was behind them. They had a push, they had the appeal with people, but the staying power was not there. For example, Gang had a lot of shock value. When you hear Gang, you love it, you fall in love with it. It resonates with you. It resonates with your spirit, it resonates with your mind. You want to repeat it because the words are catchy. But then, it got to a while where Gang just sort of drifted off. It didn't have the staying power to be at the top for a long time. The biggest hits, because we don't have a charting system in Nigeria. Even if we had a charting system in Nigeria, the world is still tilting towards a reality where successful songs are getting defined, hit songs are getting defined by the successful songs. But in Nigeria, because we don't have a veritable charting system and where streaming has not really penetrated our mainstream, then we cannot really stand on anything. Because the company with the streaming platform with the highest number of subscribers in Nigeria is not even up to 5% of Nigerians. So that cannot be our reality. There is no way to measure it. You want to measure by Google Analytics and Google Trends. You can't measure by all those things. Because why? How many Nigerians are even buying internet to use the internet? All those things are not reasonable to measure the penetration of a hit. So we are left to ourselves to determine what becomes a hit and what doesn't become a hit. For example, a person that likes Nobody or a person that likes Gang is going to tell you that Gang is a hit. And the Nigerians have a problem of perception because they think all popular songs are hits. No, they are not. Gang was very close. But Gang, between when Gang was released and 6 weeks after Gang sort of nosedived a bit. By the time the remixes came out, it had died. By the time the video came out, the hype had reduced. You might still hear it in clubs, you might still hear it anywhere, but no, not really. It wasn't a hit. Nobody was sort of nosediving until it got on TikTok and Trailer. and people were using it for videos. Now, what we hear is that about 173 videos carried streams for nobody, used nobody in their videos. But at the end of the day, was that song really a hit in Nigerian mainstream? No. How many people are using TikTok and Trailer in Nigeria? It might be the most downloaded app of 2019. But how many Nigerians are using this? How many Nigerians can afford to buy data that's going to run on TikTok for 2 weeks? Not a lot of Nigerians.
Okay, so now you're saying that these songs were very popular with the internet culture.
Yes.
They didn't kind of penetrate
outside the culture.
So with your opinion that there's no hit in 2020, what do you think are the reasons?
Number one, it's been on for a while. 2018 was the last year that we had a high influx of hits from the start of the year. For example, the hits that we had, quote and unquote, in the first quarter of first half of 2019 were 2018 songs. For example, Zanku Legwork was released in the final quarter of 2018. Fireboy, Jealous, was released on the YBNL Mafia Family album in the middle of December 2018. Killing Them by Burna Boy featuring Zlatan was released in the final weeks of December 2018. Uyomeyo was released in the final weeks of December 2018. Coming into 2019, we struggled to have a hit for a long time. In fact, some of the hits that we had in the second quarter of 2019 were songs that were released in the first quarter of 2019. Because why? Those songs needed to stay for a long time. They needed people to be able to resonate with them. And as a matter of fact, those songs also came from people that I like to call the new guard. That was another factor. Every industry has a maturation. Every industry has a change of guard. It happens every time. Every industry also has an expiration of a particular genre to lead into another genre. For example, look at the US. Between the late 90s and the early 2000s, pop was a major genre. That was why Britney Spears had a lot of success. That was why Backstreet Boys had a lot of success. That was why Christina Aguilera had a lot of success. Then pop rock began to birth new artists. Jessica Simpson, Ashley Simpson. Even Eminem had pop records that were hits. Look at, then, I think around 2004, I think that's a fact. Hip-hop gained a mainstay. Hip-hop was popping in the late 90s, but it was never the top genre. When 50 Cent, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, a lot of people came into the game. T.I., everything changed. By 2007, you had a trap song become the #1 song in the US by Soulja Boy, Crank That. The same thing coming into Nigeria. People the last time we had a change of guard in artists was 2010. That was what brought Wizkid, Olamide, Burna Boy, and a lot of them. They lasted for 10 years. That's a ridiculous run. That's an amazing run. Most people don't get to do that. They did it as a group. They were challenging each other and succeeding. By 2019, they were still succeeding. They were still the top dog. But you could see the air of these guys being the top guys literally come down before your eyes. Suddenly they had competition. They've had competition before with Techno and Kiss Daniel and Shontizo at some points during their run, but they end up defeating those guys. You also knew that those guys were not going to defeat them. For example, 2014, Kiss Daniel was the top artist. 2015 was top. Hits in Nigeria, he had a lot of hits. 2016, Techno had a lot of hits. There was a time too that Runtown was the guy. But it's nothing like what we saw in 2019 with the change of guard. There was a big gash that nobody was feeling in the Nigerian music industry. We didn't have it. We didn't have top artists to look forward to. We didn't have music that we were playing on replay value. No, that would be a general statement. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, that's a fact. Until Joe Boy, Rema, Fireboy came into the industry, a lot of people were struggling. Even Wizkid didn't release a song until the third quarter of the year. It was tough. So at the end of the day, that's another factor, a change of guard. But then another factor is also the expiration of the Nigerian, of what I'd like to call expiration of the Nigerian pop sound. Like I said the other time, with all those industries, every industry has an expiration of a particular sound that gives way for another sound. So, before 2006 in Nigeria, there was no mainstream pop sound. All of the hits that Nigeria had was either came off hip-hop, came off the hip-hop fabric or the R&B fabric. That was why hip-hop had a lot of hits. in the early days of Nigerian music. You had some hits, but at the roots of those hits, you probably hear something like dum dum ba ba ba. That's hip hop for you. Infinite Bower, hip hop. African Queen, R&B. Tribesmen, hip hop. Amode Yicheki Body, that's hip hop. But by 2005-6, you had a song. You had 2005-6-7. You even had before then. You even had Dafo Drivers. Producing hit songs, but those songs were that sound was sort of an outlier.
So it wasn't pop.
It wasn't really pop. It was very traditional and very dancehall-ish. So it was a fusion of sounds. So by 2005-6, we had a lot of people coming to the Nigerian music industry, giving us what we like to call pop sounds. The Nigerian pop sound sort of came into the industry when we had a sound that sort of merged an up-tempo version of hip-hop sounds and some form of R&B.
For example?
Yauze, Kolumenta, songs, for instance, what other song is there? Love is a Crime. Even Love is a Crime, I wanna be wanted, Two-Face.
Yeah.
There was another song on the album, One Love. Those were pop songs, but some of them came off other genres, but they were pop songs. However, the Nigerian pop sound itself, the first wave of the one that we had, things that we now call Lamba, was when Timaya came into the Nigerian music industry with K Solo. With the album produced from Danko International. True story. The sound was different. It was rebellious. You could literally hear, the sound literally makes you dance from wherever you are. That was the first wave. So I like to say that 3 albums played a key role in finding Nigerian pop sound. Timaya's True Story. The second album has to be Nice's Gongaso. The third album, which was the most influential, Wande Coast Mission to More Hits. That was the birth of the contemporary Nigerian pop sound. Every pop sound that we heard between 2008 and 2019, you can trace them all back to those 3 albums. There's no way you can't take them out. Naira Marley, that's Timaya. Zlatan, Timaya. Techno, Mandeko, whoever, Nice. You can't take them out. But by 2019, those sounds sort of found a way to take a backseat. Some of Naira Marley's biggest songs were even sort of rebellious. They were versions of Timaya's songs, but there was a switch up between them. Nigeria started looking for another wave of contemporary pop, and that sort of played an impact, had an impact on why we didn't have a hit for a long time.
So which new artists do you think came with this new sound, and what are those sounds?
That's the thing. We have not found the sound yet. It's a window. We have not found it yet. Like, we didn't find it until like 2006, 7, 8. We have not found it yet. That's the thing.
So what are the likes of Rema, Joe Boy, Fireboy? What kind of sign do you think they are doing?
For example, so there's a theory that I have that the Nigerian music industry itself is still looking for that pop sound. That's why almost anything goes in this industry. And then the music industry itself and the habits of listeners is sort of maturing and it's expanding. That's why you can hear people who love a particular sound and they will stay there. They are inside niche markets in Nigeria. There are breakdowns of several demographics of what people like. Some people like trap and that's what they listen to. Generation Z, for example, they love trap. They love pop, but they love trap. The alter demographic, there's a certain type of music they like. There are people who love song rap. The song doesn't have to penetrate the mainstream, but the fact that some people like those songs is going to have healthy numbers on streaming platforms. So the fact that the Nigerian music industry has not had a pop sound yet, it means almost anything is flying in the Nigerian music industry if people like it. For example, Dumebi. Dumebi is basically revised Wandeko with a touch of contemporary pop. Fireboy, Jealous, is an R&B song. What If I Say? It's an R&B song. It's not a hit, but it's an R&B song. Vibration is an R&B song with a thing of pop. 4 years ago, that song might not have been it wouldn't have been a hit. Joe Boy, all his songs are R&B songs. Maybe Afro R&B, to be able to properly describe them. Afro R&B songs. Rema's Why was a trap song. It wasn't a hit, but it was a trap song. The entire reason why we not had a hit and why anything is going in this industry is why you can see Anomalies, Bad Influence getting to #1. 4 years ago, no, they're not getting there. That's why you can see hip hop having an amazing year. It's a factor, either you like it or not. 4 years ago, hip hop wasn't going anywhere in this country, except you were making lamba like Olamide or Reminisce. Even MI was making lamba music with Chairman at Bullion Man.
So the old sound is phasing out. There's a window for a new sound to come up. With this like vacuum there, how do we get that hit? Who's going to come up with those hits? Whose sound is going to be top of the industry, top of the music chain?
Actually, we don't know yet. Usually, when the Nigerian music industry is going to find its pop sound very soon, it's going to find its pop sound very soon.
Or there's not going to be a pop sound, just like
possible.
America, where America has gravitated towards
a multifaceted type of music industry is very possible too. Yeah. It's also very possible. But then, when you look at every industry across the world, there's always a predominant sound that takes over every other person. For example, in America, it's trap these days. In the UK, it's a mix of pop and grime and Afro swing, Afro fusion, basically reigning then in the UK now. In Nigeria, we are going to have a sound that trumps every other sound. But at this time, we don't have any. Pop, maybe. People still want to dance. Make no mistake. All these songs are pop songs. But then, there is no pop sound that you can know that if a Wizkid makes this pop sound, it's going to collapse everything that we know. It's not there anymore. There is no shoe into a pop song, to a pop hit anymore. If you make it, people might like it, people might not like it. Pop is still the predominant way to become a star in Nigeria. That's never going to change. However, the industry and the habits of listeners are changing. And that's why a lot of things are getting past, are getting attention more than they ever did in the Nigerian music industry at this time.